We are looking at your Dynasty football trades on
Come on.
today's video. As always, we have 5 trades to look at with you. We got names including Jonathan Taylor, Deshaun Watson,
Okay.
Treylon Burks, Trey
Okay.
Lance, Kyle Pitts,
Keep going.
Alec Pierce, one of my guys, TJ Hawkinson, Brandon Ayuk,
Right.
Jalen Waddle, Pat Mahomes, George Pickens, DJ Moore, Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Brees Hall, Ken Walker. It is a stacked list of trades, your trades. And if you want your trades to be considered, quite simple, join our Discord with the link in the description. And then anytime you post a screenshot of your trade with any context in the Dynasty Trades text channel over there, it is automatically put into consideration for this video series.
That's right.
So let's look at the first trade today. And the first trade is from Nacho Savage. Love the username, Nacho Savage.
Cheese.
Context, yeah. Context is a cheese sauce, by the way. Shout out to Sauce Gardner. Superflex Dynasty League is a context. Team 1 gets Deshaun Watson and Treylon Burks. Team 2 gets Jonathan Taylor and a first-round pick. Keeping in mind this is a Superflex Dynasty League. Where do you sit on this trade, Badaki? Where do you lean? This is an interesting one.
This is an interesting one. It's a bit tough. I was looking at it. I was trying to really think about certain things. I guess I kind of break it down for the community. Deshaun Watson, 27 years old, with Treylon, 22 for Team 1. Then Jonathan Taylor, 23, and obviously a 2023 either. Hopefully that is in a good spot on the draft. Hopefully that's maybe a top 5, top 6, whatever the case may be. It's tough. I actually don't know. I think the context would be really helpful for this one. But I actually might lean JT in the first.
Okay.
Yeah, I just might lean JT in the first, and I'll give you my reasons. So, Deshaun Watson, we all love, and not love, but we all understand the situation. We know what's happening. We know that the court case is technically settled, but if more things do come up, which has already, a whole nother case, I think I just want to avoid the situation. I want to avoid anything that's going to be coming Deshaun Watson's way. And Treylon Burks, a guy that I haven't been too significantly high on coming into this season, and you have to think about the quarterback play. Is this Titans team really going to be in contention to get a quarterback right now? I think they will. I think they could potentially get a quarterback. Is Malik going to be the answer? 100% not sure. But Jonathan Taylor, we know what you can get for him for the next 2 years at least. You can still get a whole nother. He got a 23 first, and now if he really wanted to flip JT, you can get at least another 223 first somewhere else.
Sure.
So I think about the value and the upside in there. I think give me the draft picks with the not necessarily the security, but let's just move forward for any question marks with Deshaun Watson and any question marks with the quarterback play with Treylon Burks. But yeah, that's the thought process.
Yeah, I've been a huge Treylon Burks advocate. I still am going to be that. I don't think that at this point, with him sustaining that injury, we can really say either way if he's going to pan out or not. The word bust is completely ridiculous. Not that you're throwing it out, but if anyone out there is throwing that word out there. So the verdict is still out on him. Speaking of verdicts, shout out to Deshaun Watson. A lot of court cases on him this year, and another one has just come out. And I think if anyone owns Deshaun Watson, you can be 100% honest with us. When that case came out, a couple weeks ago, you were like, "Oh my God, I thought this was over."
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I thought we had moved on from this.
I'm not doing anything. Like I was just like, if he doesn't play, I actually don't care anymore.
And this is what I talked about around, I think it was like May of this year. Something that I mentioned was like, okay, this could get settled, but we don't know if it's actually over.
Yeah.
And we're kind of seeing that right now. So look, I'm still a huge advocate of Treylon Burks, but for me, the concern is Deshaun Watson. He could play this entire year, and then next year we could see a couple more cases, and we're like, oh my gosh, when does this end?
Yeah.
Context is important. You're right, because if that is a late 23 first, that does change things for me. On Team 2 side, if it's an early 23 first, I mean, I love the top 6 picks in this year's draft. So it is important, but I'll take Jonathan Taylor in the 23 first side here. I'm still a huge believer in Treylon Burks. The issue for me in this trade is Deshaun Watson and just the unknowns. Like, I'm happy to hold him in leagues that I have him, but at this point, I don't doubt the talent. I just don't know the situation. I don't think any of us can really sit here and say that we do.
Exactly.
All right, so I think this is a very close trade, though. I gave Team 1 a B. I gave Team 2 a B+. Can't hear you.
Sorry. Team 1 a B minus, and then team 2 just a B.
Okay, cool.
So it's
All right.
similar to yours.
Yeah, the second trade here is from Niller. Team 1 gets Kyle Pitts and Trey Lance. Team 2 gets Carson Wentz, TJ Hawkinson, Alec Pierce, and a 23 first-round pick. He says, context, it's a 14-team league. Team 1 is his. He's rebuilding. 23 first is likely to be pick 112 to 114. So, you know, the team who he sent that first away to, that pick is owned by the person who is probably going to finish first in that league. So he's rebuilding. He gets the Pitts and the Lance side. I'll go ahead and start this one off for us just because I've been a huge Trey Lance guy and Kyle Pitts guy, really, on our channel. And I think the unfortunate thing for Trey Lance is that we don't really know what he's going to be after the injury. You know, again, you know, we've heard people talk about Dak Prescott and compare it to that, to Michael Vick's injury. Again, I would say to those people, well, the difference is that those quarterbacks were already established. There weren't question marks of if they would be cornerstone quarterbacks. It was just like, let's wait for those guys to come back. So my Trey Lance take officially is I'm not buying low. I'm not selling out of worry. I'm just holding if I have him and hoping that he could come back. However, I will say the play of Jimmy G has been absolutely mediocre. So I feel like those people who were believing that Trey Lance would be the starter all year, you guys should feel just like me. I mean, maybe it's just because I'm biased, but I think you should feel really good about making that call because Jimmy G has looked absolutely mediocre as a starter. He's not been this extremely accurate guy. He's never really been someone that can make the throws down the field. So Lance, I'm kind of a hold on. Pitts, I still believe in. I think Pitts is a great buy low. You know, even if he doesn't figure it out this year, okay, you have next year and you're 23. Most tight ends don't break out until they're 27 years old. I think we're putting such you know, Pitts hasn't been good. I agree, but we're playing too short-minded if you're worried about Kyle Pitts in Dynasty. We look at the other side. The only player here I really love is Alec Pierce. That's someone I've been advocating for. Made a video for him about 2 weeks ago. Badaki and I made two buy lows, a video. One was Wandale for Badaki. One was Alec Pierce for me. We feel good about those takes still. When I brought that take, Alec Pierce was a wide receiver 54. Now he's a wide receiver 39 amongst the community. You're going to get more value in a trade calculator probably for teams 2 side. But honestly, Carson Wentz to me, he's gone. Like it doesn't mean anything to me anymore. Like truly doesn't mean. I don't think he gets another shot at being a starter. In Washington, you know, they have this deal with a compensation pick where if he plays a certain percentage of the snaps, they have to give another compensation pick to the Colts. I don't think it's in their best interest to do so. So when he comes back, you know, will Ron Rivera still be the coach? Hard to say. And if he's not the coach, will there be any favor for Carson Wentz? Probably not. You want to see what Sam Howell has. So anyway, all that being said, I think this is a great example of a buy low for Pitts and Lance. So I'll take the Pitts and Lance side. 2 guys who are still very young, both 22 years old, can still absolutely develop into elite players at their position, but different hurdles for each. For Kyle, it's quarterback play. For Trey Lance, it is, injury history.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head there on team 2 side. So I'll start on team 2. Carson Wentz doesn't mean anything to me. You do get Alec Pierce and TJ Hawkinson, who are still, young guys. Alec Pierce, 22, TJ, 25. But what really hit the nail on the head for me where I took team 1 side was when they said the 23 first is 112 to 114. I'm not sure what type of value you're going to get there. That's just a second round pick in a 14-man league, if you really think about it. I guess if you're used to playing in a 12-man league and you have the 14th pick, you're getting a second round value and second round talent. You get what I'm saying? So it's a little bit difficult. Obviously, these guys are a little bit more valuable in a 14-man league, but I think for me, I agree. Kyle Pitts is still young. Trey Lance is not a guy that I'm actively going out and trying to get, but I'm taking the youth over Carson Wentz and a late 23 first. Love TJ, love Alec Pierce. Give me team 1. Yeah.
And, TJ is just going to continue to be in this boom bust category. When you get Jameson Williams back in there, Swift is healthy, Amon-Ra's healthy. Like, TJ is just, again, like, probably every week under 10 points.
I wonder if TJ is going to stay with the Lions. I don't know.
That'd be interesting. I don't know that it hurts him to leave.
Exactly. I don't know that it hurts him to leave either. Like, he could go to a team where,
He's a really good overall player, though. So I imagine they
Mhm.
keep those kind of players and reward them.
Yeah, I mean, it depends, and they have a lot of money still, so
Yeah.
we'll see.
I actually really like this. So for team one, I gave an A. Team two, I gave a B minus. I actually really like this as a buy low. Right now, specifically on Pitts and Lance. I think Pitts, this is a great buy low opportunity. Again, like, you know, even if it takes a year or two to get a competent quarterback there, you're still having a 23-year-old tight end
Yeah,
who's a freak at his position. So
yeah,
I'm fine with it.
yeah. Team one, I gave a B plus, and team two, I gave a B minus. I do like the young pieces, but Carson Wentz means nothing.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
All right, the third trade here. I actually didn't get to put the shout out in. If you could look through the dynasty trades while I talk about this trade,
Yeah.
it's Brandon Ayuk, 23 first, a 23 second on team one side. On team two side, they get Jalen Waddle and a 2024 second. I will read the context if you can find out who this is
Yeah, I
from
think it's
for me.
Enfield.
Okay, Enfield, yes,
Enfield.
yes.
Yeah, Enfield.
Okay, cool.
There you go.
Shout out to you over on Patreon as well. Context is a 12-team Superflex half PPR start 10. He said he's tearing up at wide receiver from Ayuk to Waddle, so he's the team two side.
Right.
Because we start 3 wide receivers and 2 flex. Trying to bolster up the wide receiver core. Jay Jettas, CD, Waddle, Garrett Wilson, Pickens, Dotson. Both picks I gave up will likely be mid to late. I still have an early slash mid 23 first and 2 mid 23 seconds and 2 early 23 thirds. So basically, looks like he still has a lot of draft capital, but he wanted to upgrade the wide receiver position. So team one gets the Brandon Ayuk side, team two gets Waddle. Where do you kind of sit on this trade?
Honestly, my first thought process is that I do believe this is a fairly even trade because the way I see it, you get Waddle for 23 first, Brandon Ayuk for 24 second, and you still get a mid second in return, right? Or however you want to see that second, that extra second that team one got. So I actually really believe this is an even trade. Waddle obviously is the guy I do want in the long term. That's the guy, 23 years old with Tua. I think the way that they're moving, the way that they're growing together with Tua, and it looks like he has progressed significantly, even though we only saw him play 4 games so far since that concussion, or 4 or 3 games. But I mean, in those games, he was getting targeted. The way Tua was progressing, it looked really, really favorable. So I do like the Waddle side. And Brandon Ayuk, he's another guy in limbo. It feels like all 49ers plays are in limbo outside of Debo. At least you hope that Ayuk is going to continue to progress. 24 years old, going into his 4th year next year, if I'm not mistaken. I think this is honestly an even trade, right down the middle. I'm okay with it. You get a first and a second. I mean, probably just switch. You just flopped 23 seconds and 23 and then 24. You get what I'm saying? So I'm happy right down the middle here.
Yeah, this is interesting. For me, this is he had a lot of draft capital, and from what it sounds like, he said, I'm willing to send some of this draft capital to go out there and upgrade with a known commodity in Jalen Waddle. And that's something I'm really happy to do. I agree it's relatively even value, but you and I have been huge Waddle guys this entire offseason.
Love it.
I remember when Tyreek was traded to Miami, a lot of the Dynasty community was uncertain. They were like, oh, what do we do with Waddle? You and I's position was pretty much like, these will be the workhorses of their offense. It will be Waddle. It will be Tyreek. That's how the offense is going to run through it, and they're both going to help each other. That's been the case so far. There's no reason to believe in the next 2 to 3 years that Waddle's value is going to decrease as this team grows together. So to me, he does seem like, if you're going to go out and try and win it in the next 2 to 3 years, one of the best wide receivers that you can have on your team. I'm willing to get rid of some unknown draft capital to upgrade at that position, especially knowing that those picks are probably going to be relatively late. Ayuk kind of stuck in no man's land. I mean, really great week last week, but if an Ayuk owner is honest with themselves, it hasn't been good up until then, and we don't really know what it's going to look like moving forward. Debo signs a deal long term, uncertainty at quarterback. So I'm more than willing to kind of make this move and upgrade with a player that is on one of my love lists, in the Dynasty community. Again, like, you didn't get him on the cheap for sure, but I think it's even value for both sides. So I can see both perspectives. The issue for me is, even if team one is rebuilding, like, you don't get rid of a young top 5 Dynasty wide receiver in the process. Like, you You get rid of vets. You don't move young, proven
that would be the hard
commodities.
part. Yeah, I get what you're
So
saying.
team 1, I gave a B. Team 2, I gave a B plus. Pretty close.
Yeah, pretty close. It's similar. I gave both of these the same grade, B plus. Really like it down the middle, but agreed. I hear what you're saying with the Waddle side.
Yeah. All right. This next trade is potentially one of the craziest trades we've seen on this video series. Shout out to Flash.
Flash.
Okay?
He's really flashing.
Context, it's a 12-team Superflex PPR league. He says he really wanted Mahomes to get a top of the top quarterback. Let's review it. Team 1 gets Pat Mahomes, DJ Moore, George Pickens, a 23 and a 24 second. Team 2 gets Burrow, Higgins, Bateman, Hall. This is interesting. I mean, Hall, maybe humble brag, whatever. I kind of said halfway through the season, he's going to solidify himself as one of those top 3 to 5 running backs. I think he's done that. I think we can both agree in Dynasty. Maybe he is the RB1 at this point. That's what makes it interesting. You have the RB1 RB1 or 2, like wherever you want to put it, right? Can we agree RB1 or 2 Brees in Dynasty right now?
Yeah, he's definitely up there the way he's been performing. In Dynasty, absolutely.
So let's put him RB1 or 2, wherever you want to see that. Like I know probably JT still deserves that spot. Well, then you have Pat Mahomes on the side. He's quarterback 2 at least, like at minimum, right? So you have 2 of the best at their positions, and I feel like you give the advantage to the super flex to the quarterback, but it's not as if team 2 is taking a huge hit at the quarterback position either. Joe Burrow is only 25 years old, someone that we still believe in. Great weapons all around him that he can grow with. Mm-hmm. With Higgins, you get the Higgins stack. So the hard part about this is I don't know where I stand because there's players on both sides that are on my love list. Mahomes, Pickens. On the other side, Higgins, Hall. These are 4 players that I'm absolutely in love with. I don't know. So I'm asking you, how do we decipher this trade? How what side do you lean on? Because I truly don't know who won this trade.
Yeah. For me,
and maybe you don't.
No, I mean, I think for me it's team 2 personally.
Okay.
And it's not because of. I think it was the seconds. The seconds are great, but I'm not necessarily sure. So the way I see this is that Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, even swap hypothetically, right? DJ Moore.
Well, I think you definitely would give the upgrade to Mahomes. Though.
Yes, you will get the upgrade to Mahomes, but like in a quarterback sense, it's not too far off, right? But the upgrade, Mahomes is the guy above. Sure. DJ Moore, T. Higgins. It's clearly T. Higgins.
By a long shot.
Yeah, George Pickens, Rashad Bateman. Right now, it looks like it's going to be George Pickens based off talent.
Sure,
but who has a better quarterback? It's Rashad Bateman at the moment.
But who has a better consistency?
Yeah, exactly. We have to think. We have to all those little things we have to take into consideration. And then the 23 seconds, both of them clearly don't amount to Breece Hall if we wanted to break it down that way.
Sure.
So. I think this is why I'm going team 2. As much as George Pickens is more consistent and we feel like is more talented right now than Rashad Bateman, I think that you still get the upside with Breece Hall as the RB1 or 2 in Dynasty right now. Joe Burrow, who's still probably a top 5, top 6 quarterback with Patrick Mahomes, and a lot of people like to see things differently. Some people have Patrick Mahomes QB3. That was somebody in Dynasty because I had Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, and then Mahomes, and then Joe Burrow was number 5, if I'm not mistaken, for me coming into the season. I do believe that's going to continue for me unless something changes, but I think it's clearly team 2 for me. I just think Breece Hall, the way he's performing, where he's going. T. Higgins, another guy, even though he missed a couple games, when he came back, he is the guy. Like he's there. In
games that he's fully healthy, he's averaging 17.5 PPR points.
Yeah, so I mean,
he's still a wide receiver 1 easily. Should be considered a top 6 to 7 Dynasty wide receiver.
And the other thing is, like, we have to think about DJ Moore in a different light now. I think this year is a scratch. Yeah. This year's complete scratch now. Like, he does not matter whatsoever. So now when 23 comes and the CJ comes to, hypothetically, the Panthers, then the conversation is different now around CJ. It should be different. And like he's still going to be a 25-year-old guy, maybe even 26. Still some good life on him. But I think for me, it's team 2. I think the conversation we should start switching for DJ Moore here very soon, based off everything that's happening with the Panthers, though.
Yeah, I think eventually DJ Moore does become a value because when you and I were completely off of him, he was ranked as a top 12 dynasty wide receiver. And we
Yeah.
were like, what the hell is why? Why
Yeah.
is this the case? Quarterback, like if CJ comes, it doesn't automatically mean that DJ Moore is going to be good though.
Yeah, exactly.
And he'll be 26 soon. I said this about Terry. What happened when Terry McLaurin hit 26? Everyone was like, I'm done. I'm done. It just kind of happens in the market
Yeah.
for some reason. There's
Yeah.
certain ages. I agree. I'm on team 2 side. The more I look at this, the more I feel like I'm getting the better value both now and long term because even if you're trying to compete right now, you can't start DJ Moore. George Pickens, you can, but as a flex. And then you look at Higgins, Brees, and Burrow. Those are 3 really solid starters to even go out and win right now. And with the scarcity at RB, Brees Hall's 21 years old. Long, bright future ahead of him. So I do lean the team 2 side. I love Pat Mahomes, but I'm gonna agree with you here. I'm team 2.
Yeah, and it's not a big deal in the quarterback, but Patrick Mahomes, 27 years old, Joe Burrow, 25. Not a big deal, but
Josh Allen's 26, so
yeah, you get a little bit of a younger quarterback. It's probably not as crazy, but one thing I want to say is that I think, out of curiosity, would you start Rashad Bateman over DJ Moore? You would. I think we would.
Yeah, I would when they're healthy.
Okay, like right
sure,
now,
100%.
in the season.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Just wanted to clarify, but yes, team 2 for me.
Yeah, we have both been, I believe, Bateman over DJ Moore in our rankings, even preseason.
100%.
So Bateman's tough because I loved him out of Minnesota, but don't know if the consistency will ever be there.
Well, they just signed Deshaun, so hopefully they're going to open something up. I don't know. I don't know if you know that.
See, team 1, I gave a B. Team 2, I gave a B+, really close.
Yeah, team 2, I gave an A, and then team 2, I gave a B+. You
said team 2 twice there.
Sorry, team 2, I gave an A, and then team 1, I gave a B+.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay. The 5th trade we're looking at is from Cam Diggity Dog.
Cam Diggity.
And I thought this was interesting just because it's good to get a gauge of like where some of these breakout players are, like Ken Walker. He says, love Ken Walker, but this was an offer I couldn't say no to. So team 1 gets T. Higgins in a 2024 first. Team 2 gets Kenneth Walker. I've been kind of advocating for the 24 class this offseason. You remember when we made that video?
Yeah.
Undervalued assets 2024 was something that I brought up. Like, go trade for the 2024 class. And I think the more we watch college football this year, the more I'm like, holy shit, I love the 2024 class. Like, it is really, really stacked. I think you can find a running back in 2024 that is as talented as Ken Walker.
Agreed.
And T. Higgins, again, we talked about, should be considered a top 6, 7 dynasty wide receiver. So to me, this is pretty easy. But the reason I wanted to bring it up is just to like show people how you can kind of start to deal with Ken Walker, or I wouldn't trade away Brees. I'm not saying to even trade away Ken, but I'm saying like off of the hype, you can sometimes get really good deals for players. And this is what I would consider a really good deal for Ken Walker.
I completely agree. And I think this, when you look at a trade like this with T. Higgins getting 24 first, I think if it's in a different perspective, like what if that was Rashad Bateman in 24 first? Are you still taking that? Out of curiosity?
Because I don't view Rashad Bateman and T. Higgins anywhere in the same category.
What about, because I think it's to put my thought process out there.
How about put George Pickens there?
It's clearly team 1 for me. How about this first? For me, it's clearly
Okay.
team 1. I don't want to trade away Ken Walker, but I think a more realistic that I'm having will make it harder for people. I just want to throw some names out. Yeah, George Pickens. What about Jahan Dotson?
That one's interesting because Jahan, I still don't know who the quarterback's going to be long term, and Curtis Samuel's usage this year, while I like it because I liked him last year, it was surprising.
Okay, what about Elijah Moore?
I'm sorry, I'm out.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Elijah Moore.
I would take the Ken Walker side there.
Yeah, that's fine. Brandon Ayuk. It gets
Ken
difficult.
Walker side.
It gets difficult now when you get to that level because I think that would be a more like. I think if I see that trade and you see like getting T. Higgins in the 24 first, that's like trade rate. That's trade rate. That's like you're taking advantage of somebody.
Right. Well, terrible. I don't know if we can say that word on YouTube.
Probably not. I apologize. Treylon Burks. I think you would take Treylon Burks.
I would take Treylon. Yeah.
Deontay Johnson.
I've been out on Deontay all year. I'll take
even with the 24 first.
Yeah, I like. How do you sell Deontay right now to anyone?
You're fine. Gabe Davis. Did I say that?
You haven't said that yet. I'll take Ken Walker.
Okay, just a couple of names. I thought it was very interesting because,
yeah,
I think a lot of people probably will be in that situation where they have that mid-tier.
I agree.
That mid-tier wide receiver.
Let me ask you, Jerry Jeudy in a first or Ken?
I'm still going Jerry Jeudy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was curious where we would stand there.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Okay, well, I'm going team 1. We're going team 2. No need to do team grades. It's not even close.
Yeah. Agreed.
Why don't you guys who are watching comment down below? Let us know where you stand on these trades. Like the video, subscribe. Huge love. And we will see you guys next week.
Yo, what's good? Thanks for watching. We got a lot more videos.
A lot more.
If you want more videos.
Watch
now,
it.
You can also subscribe.
Right now.
If you want to.
You need to.
And lastly, don't forget that you can sign up to support the show and get exclusive content by going to patreon.com/FantasyLandFam.